Am I knocking things over?
Yeah, I know.
That's good.
That's why I rudely don't get up. I keep hitting my head on this.
Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm sure every like 30-something guy tells you that swingers got them through.
Thank you. Well, and also, Lion King the original Lion King probably was something you grew up with as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. There's I was just rewatching it, and there's so many like little things that I realized were inside jokes with my brothers.
Yes.
And also, it ends up feeling a lot more expansive in your imagination.
Of course. Well, that's part of the challenge here is that we're trying to live up to people's imagination of what they remember Lion King being, and we would watch it next to one another. And there are certain sequences that hold up incredibly well. We tried to follow shot for shot, like Circle of Life. But there's other areas where we had the opportunity to update it and make it feel a little bit more, grounded in reality, which this medium really lent itself to.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that because obviously there's a lot of choices you have to make in how much you're going to anthropomorphize the characters in order to make the audience connect with them, while also keeping it grounded and realistic and keeping to this idea of what you're doing here.
Yes.
So what was that balance like for you? Where did you find the sweet spot there to make?
I mean, unfortunately, I worked on Jungle Book, so I had
Yeah.
some experience in this area. And pretty early on, because we've played with different, you get to try different things. And when you go too human, you'd think it would make you feel more, but it really feels kind of bizarre, at least to me. So I was limited by if we were going to go photoreal. If you go stylized like Pixar, it's great. You can do whatever you want. If you make Madagascar, you could have them stick their tongues out. If it's Tigger, you could do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But the minute you start hitting photorealism, you hit the uncanny valley if you push the performances beyond what the real animal could do. Part of what makes it look so real is that we limited what we allowed the animators to do. And even for Jungle Book, I drew inspiration from, do you remember the film Babe?
Yeah.
I felt tremendous connection to that character, tremendous emotion with that little pig, but there was no human expression on its face. It was a real pig with just a little bit of CG to make the mouth move. And it taught me a lot about how we convey emotion. It's through the voice, it's through the storytelling, and with animals, they express a lot of emotion through their movement. So if you look at a character like Pumbaa, who to me is the most fun example, because when people saw pictures of Pumbaa, they were like, oh my God, that's horrifying. That thing looks like a monster. But when you watch the movie and you see Seth Rogen's voice coming out of it and the way the animators animated his body and what the character represents and feels, you have a tremendous connection to it. So it's a testament to what the power of using techniques that we borrow from, let's say, documentaries or from other films where we limit ourselves to not anthropomorphizing the characters, what you could accomplish.
And also, I mean, you're also someone who's now put together 26 years of making kids movies at this point.
Wow. Kids
No, sorry,
movie?
16.
16. Starting with what, Elf?
Elf, I guess.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
So what do you think how have you grown as a children's filmmaker? What have you learned through that process?
I don't know. I mean, I've become a parent. I guess I was a parent. My kid was 1 during the first one. So yeah, it's 16 years because he's 17 now. And I learned that, what did I learn? I don't know. I learned from talking to George Lucas, actually, because I'm working on Star Wars for The Mandalorian. We had a long talk with each other. And the one thing he said to me was, remember, John, the real audience for all stories and all myths, because he really is a Joseph Campbell adherent. He said the myth is designed for the kids that are coming of age. We enjoy the stories as adults, but really storytelling is about imparting the wisdom of the previous generations onto the children who are becoming adults and giving them a context for how to behave and how to learn the lessons of the past without making mistakes on their own. I mean, that's the hope, is that you could teach them how to avoid all the hardship, but yet garner all the wisdom. And so I think a film like Lion King is really the purest form of storytelling, in that you are dealing with the biggest themes that we deal with as humans, about loss, about each generation replacing the previous one, about living a life of responsibility and stepping up when you are called upon in the face of tremendous suffering that life presents to you, especially in a world like the animal kingdom. But that it is a glorious story, and even though there's tremendous suffering, it is a net gain. And if you live your life in harmony with the world around you, and you go on the spiritual journey that all these great myths discuss, that there is something transformative and uplifting about it, and that's the monomyth. It's the hero's journey, and ultimately the reward for a life well lived. And that's something that as you get older, you start to appreciate more, because life feels very finite, and you see the next generation coming up, and you relate more to Mufasa than you do to Simba. And I take comfort in those themes, and I like it, and I love sharing that with the next generation, and knowing that this will be left behind even as our generation passes.
Well, thank you so much, man.
You're welcome.
It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Sure.
Really excited for the Mandalorian.